John Burns Baynes, legendary teacher, legendary union leader, legendary friend. We are so grateful for all that he's done. We're going to miss him terribly, but we wish him the best in the future.
John, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to call you my friend and colleague, and I will miss you very much. Love you.
Mr. Baynes, we are so happy for you. You've been such a great mentor to us, and we want to thank you very sincerely for all your support, love, and friendship over the past couple of years. We wish you and your wife and family nothing but the best in retirement. Thanks again for all your support.
This is a little gift to start us off, and this is a Pange Kile playing Danny Boy. Ritual Sterling on the piano. A couple weeks back, John asked if I would have the 24th free on the calendar, and if so, would I be interested in introducing him? He was going to say some things before this adoring audience, and first of all, he doesn't realize I would have canceled anything to be here, just to be part of this, and I'm incredibly honored. Looking around this room, there are so many people that have known John Baynes for forever. And so I will try to just encapsulate some of our appreciation and gratitude from the lens of a music teacher and a former John Baynes English student.
I think it was yesterday. I said, John, I have to say some comments tomorrow. He said, well, there's no place in the program for you. I said, make room for me. Most of you know John as a teacher and a brother. But I and my brothers here and the rest of our family know him as a brother and a teacher and a builder. As far as being a brother, time and decorum do not permit me to tell many stories. As far as a teacher, personally, I can tell you that he taught me how to drive a car. He taught me how to paint a house, which, contrary to what Bill said, I think we did a pretty good job. He taught me how to drink beer. Out of the side of the mouth. I don't know if you ever saw me. He taught me how to be a family man. He taught me how to be a good husband and father. He was a builder. John and I built a house together in Cooperstown about 10 years ago. I didn't know anything about building a home, and he taught me all that stuff. But he also taught me that as a builder, you have to build family, you have to build community, you have to build relationships, and all of us take that away from them.
Everybody who knows me knows that I hate technology. Sorry. And this is my first and last PowerPoint. So Buddy, this is Buddy Nioff. Buddy, give me a click. So, you know that today Bill Cook is here. Bill Cook took me in when I was basically homeless. He's over here. He took my brother Michael in. Bill, along with Bill Calla, he's actually with Bill Calla, who they do God's work. Bill is operating now in some of the poorest places in the world, helping orphans and some of the poorest children in the world. And for all of you who want to get involved in helping Bill Calla, or today we're especially encouraging people to support Bill Cook because of his deep, deep connection to my family, my nephews, my mother and father. So Bill, thank you for all you do and continue to do, Bill Cook. I'm also very honored to have our pastor of our church, and really I think in some ways the leader of East Rochester community, that's Father Bill Leone. Where's Father Bill? Father Bill Leone. And I haven't seen Denny Mack, but is Denny here? I know Ronnie's here. But oh, there's Denny Mack. The most beautiful white hair you've ever seen this side of my mother. And Denny Mack is a great leader of the church community in Fairport as well. Denny, thanks for being here. You know, we're pro-worker. I might have joined a country club, but the only people here I really worry about, whose opinions I really worry about, are the workers. I don't care about the members. If they like me, fine. If they don't, fine. So to my warriors in maroon, our servers, everybody here at Monroe, I love you, I thank you, and as my brother-in-law, Daniel Francis Ryan, my favorite bartender, always says, tip the bartender. So, you know, teaching is a struggle. Teaching is about failure. The greatest teacher in the history of the world, he took the mysteries of the universe, a young Jewish kid, not talking about Al Shanker, took the mysteries of the universe and gave us diamonds, and we can't hold on to them. 3 words. You can boil it all down. Look at the 20th century. More people died of violence in the 20th century than all of history before. So teaching is a struggle, and let's not pretend it's anything but that. But this is going to get more cheerful. Because if it's a struggle, we have one choice, and that's we have to love the struggle. That kid who gives you trouble, he's a gift. That girl who needs you desperately, is the greatest gift of your day. Because that need of that child and that struggle gives you an opportunity to do what you do as a caregiver and a teacher. So, a lot of people think of Sisyphus, and Sisyphus rolling his boulder up the hill and falling down. And yeah, teaching is a Sisyphean struggle. It feels like Groundhog Day sometimes. And you go back, and you go back. 41 years I've been a teacher, and I'm going to keep teaching. But, again, if pushing a boulder up the hill is your job, and then pushing it back up again tomorrow is your job, you got one choice. You got to love it. Love the boulder, love the pushing. All right? Buddy, you're doing great. But you know, teachers work 186 days a year. Parents work 365 days a year. So we're going to talk today about parents and children. Parents and children struggle and push the rock up the hill 365 days a year. And as you know, you parents, it never ends. So we're going to take our inspiration from parents and children. Buddy? Because this is what parents and children are all about. And here are my grandchildren right here, 5 of them. They're awesome. And those 4 words, those are our cornerstone. Those are the 4 corners of our work. That's what every parent's about. Hope, faith, love, and courage. So, let's talk about some very, very special families today. These are Patricia's parents. This picture was taken a year ago when Patricia's mother was 90 and her father was 94. They couldn't be here today because they can't travel now. But, you know, trees, apple. Kathleen served in World War II. She was in the British intelligence. Don't start crying. I'm going to cry. I don't care, and I'm not embarrassed. So don't you be embarrassed. Okay, you can be, but don't. Patricia's father was orphaned at the age of 13. Had to move in with relatives. He didn't even have a seat at the table. Had to stand. He entered the RAF in '39. 7 years he was never in England. Never set foot in England. Flew over 80 missions in the RAF in World War II. They met in Teachers College and they had 3 children in England. Patricia's the oldest of 9. And came to Sarnia, Ontario, and then to Toronto. They had 6 more children in Canada. They came over on the boat. Patricia has been an immigrant twice. And don't get started with people who don't believe in immigrants around my wife, buddy. Both of her parents were outstanding educators. Her father was a superintendent of Toronto schools, had about 175 schools he was in charge of. Her mother was a distinguished educator too. So this is a picture, there are very few pictures of the family. This is Patricia on the left. She made those shorts. Now you notice that there are 8 children. When John and Kathleen came to Canada and they had their 7th child, that child was born with cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis drowns the child. It was the most horrifying event. And of course, they were devastated. And they prayed, and then they had an 8th child and a 9th child. Faith, hope, love, courage, parents and children. So, Patricia, I was a goner the first time I saw her in 1971. But the deal was closed when I realized that her whole life, from the minute I met her, was about honoring thy mother and father. And that's when I knew we were going to be together forever. So Patricia, when she decided to pursue a career, wanted to do something for the community. And so she went back and got her master's degree, commuted to Buffalo. We had our 3 kids. Sheila was about 9. And her dream job was to be the director of the Palmyra Library, which is in this little house. It's a nice house. And Patricia, with her partners, completely transformed the Palmyra Library. It became a public library and became the Palmyra Community Library, which Patricia's earned over almost $2 million in grants for. She's been the clerk of the works. She has about 9 employees. And this library is one of the jewels of Wayne County. And Wayne County has struggled, but this is a great, great success story. So, buddy, if we go on to the next one, I want you all to think of your library. When you see a library, any library, I want you to say, that's a force for justice. That library is a democracy machine. A library is a democracy machine. And a library is a portal to social mobility. Patricia takes care of homeless people, people who don't have access to the wonders of the digital age. They come to the library. And Patricia comes home late because she's dropping books off for shut-ins. This is a person who lives the motto of community first. And now the poem. It's on the office in my, it's on the wall in my office. Were it not for the way you taught me to look at the world, to see the life at play in everything, I would have to be lonely forever. Patricia, join me, please. Look, can we thank Patricia for 25 years of service? Thank you. 25 years of service to the Palmyra community. We're so proud of you. Patricia Mary Lavin Baynes, a leader in her community. Now let's talk about my mom and dad a little bit. My mother's Claire O'Brien, and she lost her dad when she was 12. She married my dad in 47. She had 7 children in 7 years in Clyde. And yeah, the 7th was born 11 months after I, the 6th, was born. She had 5 more in East Rochester. The first 2 died, so you would only know the 10. They died. They would be alive today, but it was before neonatology. So Mom lives in Albany, and here she is this month, and there she is with my brother Chris, who's her youngest, who's here today. I don't see him. Where are you, Chris? Chris is over here, and he's in her 10th. So this woman has more spirit than anybody you'll ever meet. So I'm going to talk about her more later. My dad grew up in the 10th Ward also, and he went to Aquinas. He worked in his father's grocery store. He had a really great career. He was a great athlete. He's in 4 halls of fame. I'm in none, and never will be, and that's okay. We just learned this month that my dad was in the unit in the film Hacksaw Ridge, which he never told us. And 22 people came out alive. Brendan, how many soldiers went up around that hill? 222, 178 of them died. And my dad came off that hill. He never talked about it. We just found out by researching it this week, so we're very emotional about it. He was a house painter too, worked in the postal service. He'd coach, and then he would take a nap, and then he'd work at the post office during Christmas season. Then he'd get up, have breakfast, and go to school. So he paid the price. Now, he was named Layman of the Year, and I was rather young, and then I found out, I didn't know why everybody in town was snickering that he'd been named Layman of the Year. I'm still not sure, but you might be able to guess. And my dad died in 1987, I feel that every day. So, there they are, Mom and Dad, and this is Mom's favorite picture because that's Mom said, I like that picture because it makes me look like Jackie Kennedy. So just a couple quick shots. This is a Christmas card where we bought the pews from the church, Father. They might have actually been stolen, but I think we... And my parents staged this picture where we're all supposed to be holy little children. I'm in the front left. I can't sing and I'm not holy, but that was our Christmas card. Here we have another one, buddy. This is 64. We're all wearing the same shirt. We all got the same shirt for Christmas, a brown corduroy shirt. There are 9 of us then. And then in 67, we all had better hand-me-downs by 67. None of those clothes were purchased. All of those clothes were donated to our family. And then things were tough. In 1972, look at that. Whoa. That was a hard time to be a dad. I'm up in the top left with the long hair. 6 months later, Patricia married me, so she doesn't have perfect judgment. So let's talk about children. I was a child. Bill made this point when I started teaching children. This is from the first yearbook at Fairport in 1979. It was 39 years ago. And I think one of the most important things we need to do is never forget that child within us. And that's what I try to do every day. I try to say, these 16-year-old kids, they're assume that they feel the way you felt when you were 16. They hurt the way you hurt. And I carry that with me. And I carry my brothers and sisters, my 9 brothers and sisters with me every day to school. And I carry the kids I grew up with. And here's some of the kids I grew up with, and I'm so honored to have them here today. I have 4 of them right here. It's 4 beautiful women, all graduated with me. 2 from St. Jerome School in '67, Patty, Kathy, Diane, and Helen. And I have a number of my gentlemen in this picture. Anthony Pacero's here with me today, Joe DeRosa, and I'm just so proud of the kids I grew up with. I carry them with me to school every day because, you know, and I also know like 2 of the kids in this picture died, 1 from suicide and 1 from a drug overdose. I carry that with me every day. Children are so at risk. It's so scary how at risk they are. That's why we gotta be so good. We can't solve everything, we can't fix everything. So this is what the job is. It's about other people's children. Now some people don't get this, and some of the people that I work for don't like it when I get angry and hostile and energy like this, right? But I don't care. This job is about other people's children. And don't do it if you're not signed up. Get the hell out. Because other people's children are God's children and they matter. So here's the question. What does it mean to be a champion? Now I grew up in a community full of champions, and I'm going to introduce a couple of them to you right now. Because I know what it is to be a champion, so when I'm not one, I know it. I want to start, next slide please, I want to start with a guy who just changed my life. He ran the local community center. And when my dad was with other people's children, he was with my dad's child and my siblings. And he ran the community center. He later went on to become the most influential person in the history of Aquinas Institute. If you ask all the living graduates of Aquinas Institute, and Jerry, would you step up and stand with me, please? If you ask, he was the dean of students at Aquinas for 40 years? He doesn't know. If you ask all the living graduates of Aquinas Institute who was the most influential person there, they know. We have Marty Quinn here today. Where's Marty? Marty says, Mr. McGuire jacked him up a couple times, but that's okay. You deserve it, Marty. And so I'm just so honored to have, because he inspired me. And he helped me get my first job at Aquinas. I'm just so honored to have him here today. Can you give me a big round of applause? The next person I want to bring up, you might know the name, because the legend, that's Coach Don Quinn. Coach, would you come up and stand with me? And Coach and I, we didn't see eye to eye when I was in high school, and trust me, on election day we didn't see eye to eye either, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Here's what matters. Coach lives with intensity. This is the most intense man I've ever known. He goes to church with intensity, doesn't he? Yeah, don't get near him. The intensity comes off. The other thing about Coach, I don't care how many games he won. It doesn't really matter to me. And he won hundreds and hundreds, thousands, and influenced so many lives. What really inspired me about Coach Quinn was his loyalty to his players. He has no ex-players. And that's why I always say, because of him, I have no ex-students. I want to honor him as an inspiration to me, Coach Don Quinn. The third champion in my Mount Rushmore, you got to have 4 people in your Mount Rushmore, is really the most lauded, most admired teacher in the history of East Rochester. Is Mr. Nick Verzella. I'd like him to stand with me, please. Nick fought in World War II. He's 90 years old. Like Mr. Quinn and Mr. Connors, he lost his wife. He continued to live his life with courage. The thing about him, and I didn't know him that well. He wasn't my teacher. But here was the thing. Everybody admired him so. Every kid in ER said he was the greatest teacher ever. And all I wanted was my kids to think of me the way that his kids thought of him. Unachieved, unachievable, but what a worthy goal. I admire you so much. Thank you. And my fourth Mount Rushmore man is Mr. Tom Connors. He couldn't be here. He was supposed to be here. He ended up taking off to Philly to go to a baseball game. He's also 90 years old. He also fought in World War II, but his daughter Katie is here. Katie, would you step up and stand with me, please? Now, I was painting houses with Tom Connors in 1975. I graduated from the University of Rochester. I didn't know what I was going to do. Katie had been born. We had no income, really, and no future. And I was painting houses with Mr. Connors, and we went over, and Katie was upstairs, and actually this was earlier that year, and we didn't know what to name our child, and he said, Katie, come down here. And Patricia and I looked at each other and said, oh, we got to name our daughter Katie. So we named our daughter after Katie. But the thing was, Tom had 7 kids, and he had fun every day, and he was teaching school. So I said, there's a guy who works hard, has fun every day, teaches school, is raising a beautiful family with his amazing wife, Mary. And so he couldn't be here. He's at a baseball game, but Katie, we appreciate your dad. He was an inspiration to me. Thank you. All right, the rest of this will be pretty quick. In order to really, for me to grow, I had to get out of the silo. I think when you live in Teacherville, it can become a little too inside, right? You're in Teacherville all the time. So what happened to me was I got elected judge in Palmyra in 1982. and it profoundly changed my life. That's my courthouse in Palmyra, New York. And what I learned there is that all the kids who don't make it in school are in court, and they're in jail. And the kids who can't read are almost guaranteed to a life of poverty. I didn't understand until I was 28 years old and I was elected judge what the stakes were. It broke my heart to be a judge. Now, the 7 most important schools in my life, not the University of Toronto, not the University of Rochester, not the State University of New York, sorry, not East Rochester High School, not Fairport High School. 7 most important schools in my life are those 7 schools. Dudley School, Northside, Brooks Hill, Jefferson Avenue, Martha Brown, Johanna Perrin, Minerva Land. Those are the 7 schools that I had the privilege of working for the teachers for the last 30 years. Seeing what they do, seeing those kindergarten teachers. The great illusion of this profession is that you're alone. But the children experience so many of us. Their experience is with all of us. We may be alone, but we are together. So I want everybody who's a Fairport teacher to always remember we did it together. And we did feel alone, but our day is not their day. They experience that bus driver first. Then they experience that person at the door. Then they experience the librarian, and they experience the secretary, etc. And the whole day, their day, is an encounter with so many adults and other children. So our day is not their day, and their day is more important. I want to thank Dave and Teresa Paddock for getting me out of the silo and getting me a passport. I got a passport in 1997, and Dave and Teresa Paddock took me to Ireland. There I am in Ireland with my brother Brendan, who was with me, Jill and Mike Malaber, Gary Clark, Brian Eden, they're all here. I think it was like 15 years ago, but I looked like 30 years younger. I definitely hit the age warp in my life. 2 more quick things. 1 is the power of believing in children, and 2 is the certainty of humility. And the power of believing in children is all about that lifting the ceiling for a child by believing in the child. And who taught me that? My mother taught me that. Next slide. And there's my mother with my sister Mary. The 3 people in my life who believed in me the most were my grandmother Fran O'Brien, my mother Claire O'Brien, and my sister Mary Grace Ryan, who we lost 10 years ago. So I am my mother's glorious fiction. The fiction is that I was special. And I'm not 1/10 as special as she made me believe. But the glory is I accomplished 5 times more than I would have accomplished if she didn't believe in me. I never would have the courage to try to marry Patricia when I was 19 or do all those crazy things I did or run for the New York State Assembly or try to be a union president because my mother just convinced me that I could do it. I'm so blessed by her. I'm my mother's glorious fiction. And finally, you can't outgive your blessings, okay? I've tried. You know, my father died in '87, the Fairport teachers were there for me, the ER community was there for me. In '92 when I ran for office, in '96 when my brother Michael died, 2007 when my sister died. Everybody was there for me. So what I was going to do, my theory was, I'll give more, give more, give more. You can't do it. You can't outgive your blessings. You have to accept the humility of being blessed. And that happened to me. And there are 2 people here who are so much better than I am, it's not even funny. And I'm going to introduce you to 2 more people. One's John Kresge. John, come forward. This is a young man that I had the privilege of teaching. We cried together, didn't we? We cried together. John lost a close friend. And so a couple years ago, we were trying to help kids. We'll quietly help kids, like put a couple $1,000s together. And John Seraphin and different people to help kids. So John got wind of that, and he went to his bank account. He had $325 in the bank, and he had them write a check out to me. He took his life savings and said, Mr. Baynes, will you give this to that kid who needs it? Because I'm blessed. That's John Kresge. I'm never going to be that good. John plays football at Hartwick, right, John? And the last person I would introduce, and I have one more brief slide, and that's Herb Graham. And Herb, you're going to have to walk up here, brother. I'm sorry, I know it's a long walk. But as Herb walks up, when I leave Fairport High School this spring, some of the kids are going to miss me. But there's always somebody better than you are. This man's title is Sentry, but his real title is the leader of our school. He's a caregiver. He's going to be missed so much when he's retiring with me. He's come to school after having a career at Xerox. The kids adore him. I adore him. And this man truly, truly walks with God. And his name is Herb Lamb. And he's better than that. We did it together. Come here, Pete. We did it together. And next slide, buddy. And those are our three kids on Andrew's wedding day in Philadelphia. And this next slide is our grandkids. God bless all of you. Thank you for being here.